Bobby Darin was a remarkably versatile and talented artist who left an indelible mark on the music industry. Known for his smooth voice and charismatic stage presence, Darin seamlessly crossed genres, from rock and roll to jazz, pop, and even folk. His hit songs like Mack the Knife and Beyond the Sea have become timeless classics, showcasing his ability to bring energy and emotion to his performances. Beyond his musical achievements, Darin was also an accomplished actor, demonstrating his wide-ranging artistic abilities. But behind the camera, Bobby Darin had a life full of triumphs and mysteries. Join us today as we cover Bobby Darin's life journey. But before we get into the shocking revelations about Bobby Darin's private world, we need to understand the early events that shaped his extraordinary journey. Darin was born as Walden Robert Casotto in East Harlem, New York City, on May 14, 1936 to Vanina Juliet Nina Casotto, born November 30, 1917. Due to his mother's young age of 17 at the time of his birth, Darin's maternal grandmother took on the role of his mother while Nina became his older sister. Darin's maternal grandmother, Vivian Polly Fern Walden, born in 1891, had a mixed ancestry of English, Danish, and Norwegian descent and had a background as a vaudeville singer before Darin's birth. On the other hand, Darin's maternal grandfather, Severio Antonio Big Sam Curly Casotto, born on January 26, 1882, was of Italian heritage and had connections to the Genovese crime family and Frank Costello. Unfortunately, Sam passed away from pneumonia while in prison a year before Darin was born. In 1968, at the age of 32, Darin was considering a career in politics when Nina revealed the truth about his parentage, which deeply affected him. She chose not to disclose the identity of his biological father, taking that secret with her to the grave in 1983. Darin spent his early years in the Bronx, with a rented summer home in Staten Island, and graduated from the renowned Bronx High School of Science. He attributed his sense of arrogance to his time there, surrounded by intellectually superior peers who often teased him. Subsequently, Darin attended Hunter College but left after 2 semesters to pursue a career in acting, driven by his ambition to succeed as an actor, perform on Broadway, and establish himself as a recording artist. Bobby Darin's career launched in 1955 when he formed a songwriting partnership with Don Kirshner, whom he met at a candy store in Washington Heights. They started by writing jingles and songs, beginning with bubblegum pop. In 1956, Darin's agent secured a contract with Decca Records, but his recordings there saw little commercial success. As part of the Brill Building's talented group of songwriters, Darin met singer Connie Francis and helped write several of her songs. Their professional relationship blossomed into a romance, but Francis' father disapproved, leading to their eventual breakup. Francis later lamented that not marrying Darin was the biggest mistake of her life, a sentiment that underscores the deep connection they shared despite the obstacles. Darin left Decca and signed with Atlantic Records' Atco subsidiary, where he began writing and arranging music for himself and others. Some of his early recordings, like Harry Warren's "I Found a $1 Million Baby," were performed in an Elvis-like style that didn't quite fit his personality. This period highlighted Darin's willingness to experiment and find his unique voice in the industry. Under the guidance of Atlantic's legendary producer Ahmet Ertegun, Darin's career really took off in 1958 with the release of Splish Splash. Darin co-wrote the song with DJ Murray Kaufman after a phone call from Kaufman's mother, Jean, who suggested the title "A Splish Splash, Take a Bath." Though initially unimpressed, Darin quickly penned Splish Splash, and the single sold over 1 million copies, marking his successful entry into the rock and roll scene. This success story illustrates Darin's knack for turning even the most unlikely ideas into hits. Following this success, Darin ended his partnership with Kirshner and recorded Early in the Morning with a band called the Ding Dongs, later renamed the Rinkery Dinks. The single reached number 24 in the US charts. In 1959, Darin's self-penned ballad Dream Lover became a multi-million seller, granting him financial success and greater creative control. His album That's All was a testament to his versatility beyond rock and roll. Darin's next single, Mack the Knife, a jazz-pop interpretation of Kurt Weill's threepenny opera, initially faced his reluctance but went on to top the charts for 9 weeks, selling 2 million copies and winning the 1960 Grammy Award for Record of the Year. Darin also won the Grammy for Best New Artist, and Mack the Knife was later honored with a Grammy Hall of Fame award. This achievement cemented Darin's status as a musical chameleon capable of mastering various genres. Following Mack the Knife, Darin released Beyond the Sea, a jazzy English rendition of Charles Trennett's French hit La Mer. Both tracks were produced by Atlantic founders Ahmet and Nesuhi Ertegun along with Jerry Wexler, featuring arrangements by Richard Wess. These collaborations highlight Darin's ability to work seamlessly with some of the industry's best producers and arrangers. Darin's late 1950s success was highlighted by setting the all-time attendance record at Manhattan's Copacabana nightclub and headlining major casinos in Las Vegas. His ability to draw such large crowds speaks to his charisma and widespread appeal, making him a standout performer of his era. In 1960, Bobby Darin recorded Artificial Flowers, a poignant song by Sheldon Harnick and Jerry Bock from the Broadway musical Tenderloin about the death of a child laborer. Darin's rendition featured a jazzy, big band arrangement by Richard Burke, creating a stark contrast to the song's tragic lyrics and showcasing Darin's ability to infuse emotional depth into his performances. During the 1960s, Darin expanded his influence in the music industry by co-owning a music publishing and production company, TM Music Trio, with Doris Day's son, Terry Melcher. It was here that Darin signed a young Wayne Newton and handed him Dank Chun, which became Newton's breakout hit. Additionally, Darin mentored Roger McGuinn, who worked for him at TM Music and played the 12-string guitar in Darin's nightclub band before going on to form the Byrds. Darin's production talents were further evident in his work on Rosie Grier's 1964 LP Soul City and A Maid in the Shade for Jimmy Boyd, underscoring his multifaceted contributions to the music world. In 1962, Darin began to explore the country music genre, writing and singing several hit songs, including Things, You're the Reason I'm Living, and 18 Yellow Roses. These tracks were recorded under Capitol Records, which he joined in 1962 before returning to Atlantic Records 3 years later. His tenure with Capitol concluded in 1964. 2 years later, Darin achieved his final UK hit single with a rendition of Tim Hardin's If I Were a Carpenter, which peaked at number 9 in the UK and number 8 in the US. Additionally, Darin contributed the opening and closing songs for the soundtrack of the 1965 Walt Disney film That Darn Cat. His song Things was also notably performed by Dean Martin in the 1967 TV special A Moving with Nancy, starring Nancy Sinatra. Throughout his career, Bobby Darin's versatility and ability to cross musical genres while maintaining a deep connection with his audience solidified his legacy as an enduring and influential figure in the music industry. In the fall of 1959, Bobby Darin took on the role of Honey Boy Jones in an early episode of Jackie Cooper's CBS military sitcom Dramas Hennessy. That same year, Darin achieved the remarkable feat of being the only actor ever signed to contracts with 5 major Hollywood film studios simultaneously. Alongside his acting talents, Darin also composed music for several of the films in which he starred, showcasing his multifaceted artistic abilities. Darin's first significant film, Come September 1961, was a teen-oriented romantic comedy featuring Rock Hudson and Gina Lollobrigida, and co-starring 18-year-old actress Sandra Dee. The on-screen chemistry between Darin and Dee blossomed into a real-life romance, and the couple married on December 1, 1960. Their union was soon blessed with the birth of their son, Dodd Mitchell Darin, also known as Morgan Mitchell, on December 16, 1961. The duo's off-screen romance translated into on-screen collaborations in films like If a Man Answers, 1962, and That Funny Feeling, 1965, which enjoyed moderate success. In 1961, Darin ventured into more serious acting territory, starring as a struggling jazz musician in Too Late Blues, the first major studio film directed by John Cassavetes. Los Angeles Times critic Dennis Lim later noted that Darin was the surprise in his first non-singing role, willing to appear both arrogant and weak, highlighting his range as an actor. His performance in Come September earned him the Golden Globe Award for New Star of the Year actor in 1962. The following year, he garnered a Best Actor Golden Globe nomination for his role in A Pressure Point. Darin's acting prowess reached new heights in 1963 when he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of a shell-shocked soldier in Captain Newman, M.D. Throughout his acting career, Darin shared the screen with Hollywood heavyweights like Sidney Poitier, Steve McQueen, and Gregory Peck, further cementing his status as a versatile and respected performer. In October 1964, Darin appeared as a wounded ex-convict befriended by an orphan girl in the John Gilman story episode of NBC's A Wagon Train, a popular Western television series. This role was yet another testament to Darin's ability to take on diverse and challenging characters, continually surprising audiences with his depth and talent. As the 1960s progressed, Bobby Darin became increasingly politically active, with his music taking on a more folksy tone. In 1966, he made a notable comeback with a hit rendition of Tim Hardin's If I Were a Carpenter, securing his return to the top 10 after a 2-year absence. Darin's political engagement deepened as he traveled with Robert F. Kennedy and worked on Kennedy's 1968 presidential campaign. He was with Kennedy on June 4, 1968, for the California primary, and was present at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles later that night when Kennedy was tragically assassinated. This devastating event, combined with the shocking discovery of his true parentage, profoundly affected Darin. He withdrew from the public eye, spending much of the following year in seclusion in a trailer near Big Sur. During this period, he channeled his emotions into 2 poignant albums addressing issues such as civil rights, poverty, the Vietnam War, and the death of RFK. In 1956, Bobby Darin and Connie Francis met under rather serendipitous circumstances arranged by their manager, George Sheck. Sheck had organized for Francis to record a song written by Darin, sparking a connection that quickly blossomed into what Darin's friends described as an intense romance. However, Francis's parents disapproved of the budding relationship. One night, after returning from a date with Darin, Francis found her bags packed and waiting on the front step, a clear message from her parents. Undeterred, Darin proposed to Francis almost immediately. This bold move led to dramatic consequences. Upon learning of the engagement, Francis's father stormed into a rehearsal of the Jackie Gleason show, armed with a gun and threatening to shoot Darin. In a scene that seemed ripped from a movie, Darin narrowly escaped through a window. After the show, the couple had a brief conversation before reluctantly parting ways. Despite the separation, Darin and Francis maintained a secret correspondence over the next 4 months, exchanging heartfelt love letters. Darin treasured these letters until his death, after which they were auctioned off and later returned to Francis, a poignant reminder of their brief but passionate relationship. In the ensuing years, Darin and Francis crossed paths several times while appearing on the same television shows, but their romance was never rekindled. In 1960, as fate would have it, Francis learned from the radio that Darin had married actress Sandra Dee while she and her father were driving through the Lincoln Tunnel. In a moment of heartbreak, Francis later wrote, "I wish that somehow God would cause the Hudson River to come gushing in and entrap us in that tunnel." Reflecting on her life, Francis has often said that not marrying Darin was the biggest mistake she ever made. This tale of star-crossed lovers is a testament to the intense emotions and dramatic turns that characterize Darin's life, adding yet another layer to his already fascinating story. Bobby Darin married actress Sandra Dee on December 1, 1960, in a whirlwind romance that began on the set of Come September in Rome, Italy. It was Dee's mother, Mary Duvon, who nudged her daughter to go on a date with Darin. Reflecting on their relationship, Dee remarked, "Bobby loved me. He was a calculating guy, but I don't think he arrived in Rome with a plan to marry this new little Mary Pickford of Hollywood. Aside from the fact that he was rude, brash, and always trying to get a reaction, I didn't like this person." I just thought, this is a conniving SOB. Despite these initial reservations, the couple's chemistry was undeniable. On December 16, 1961, they welcomed their son, Dodd Mitchell Darin, into the world. In the early 1960s, Darin and Dee became Hollywood's golden couple, embodying the glamour and allure of the era. However, their marriage was fraught with difficulties, and they eventually divorced on March 7, 1967, bringing an end to a tumultuous yet iconic partnership. Darin found love again with Andrea Yeager, a legal secretary he met in 1970. After living together for 3 years, they married on June 25, 1973. Unfortunately, their marriage was short-lived. Just 4 months later, in October 1973, they divorced, a casualty of the strain caused by Darin's worsening health problems. These chapters of Darin's personal life paint a vivid picture of a man who, despite his immense talent and success, faced significant challenges in his quest for lasting love and stability. Bobby Darin faced lifelong health challenges that shaped his extraordinary journey. From infancy, he battled frailty, and at just 8 years old, recurring bouts of rheumatic fever scarred his heart, a condition that would define his existence. Aware of his mortality, Darin lived each day with a fierce determination. In January 1971, he underwent his first heart surgery, where doctors implanted 2 artificial valves. The recovery was arduous, consuming much of the year as he grappled with the aftermath of such a significant procedure. In his final years, Darin's performances on stage and screen were punctuated by the need for supplemental oxygen, a testament to his unwavering commitment to his craft despite declining health. Tragically, in 1973, a routine dental visit led to a severe infection. Sepsis took hold, compounding the strain on his weakened heart valves. On December 11, Darin checked into Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in Los Angeles for emergency open-heart surgery. A skilled surgical team worked tirelessly through the night of December 19, but despite their efforts, Darin passed away in the early hours of December 20, 1973, never regaining consciousness. He was just 37 years old. In a final act of generosity, Darin's will expressed his wish for his body to be donated to science for medical research. Shortly after his death, his remains were transferred to the UCLA Medical Center, a fitting tribute to a man whose life, though brief, left an indelible mark on the world of entertainment and beyond. Thank you for watching. To support our channel, please subscribe.